What we're seeking is the actual truth and correct understanding of something, not looking for a way to back up and justify the truth the way we think we understand it, and reassurance that we've been right about something. Because you can take this book, we call the scriptures the Bible, and you can get it to take whatever verses you can come up with to back up almost anything. So we're not looking to back up what you think and what you believed and what you've been told. We're trying to figure out what it actually says. One of the biggest problems that all of us who came through the mainstream of Christianity have to deal with is that there's been a tendency, and by the way, not just in mainstream, you've seen this in other, ones that are a little less mainstream as well, the idea of cherry picking how they utilize something. And you see, you can't just do that. You can't use it one way one place, use it a different way another place. Either it is or it isn't. Either it's a person or it's not. Now, the problem with Trinitarian thought is that they're separate when it's convenient for them and they're one when it's convenient for them. Because they'll jump back and forth between them because they know the verses don't lay out what they needed to lay out, so they jump between the two. So let's understand this right now. When I mentioned something about them not being equal, now they think I'm taking away his deity. There's no way I'm doing that. What I'm simply saying is, he claims that there's no equality between him and his Father. And we're going to read those verses. You're going to hear over and over from Yeshua that things were given to him from his Father. He's not co-equal, meaning he gave it to himself or didn't need anybody to give it to him. The higher authority gives to the lesser authority. But by the way, everything that exists is still in lesser authority to Yeshua. Everything's in lesser authority to Yeshua except the Father himself. Again, they'll say they're equal, but boy, do they focus just on the ghost. If they're equal, why focus so much attention on just one? See, Yeshua focuses only on one, his Father. He doesn't want attention on himself. He doesn't ever mention the ghost, like ever, except when we're going to see dealing with it as power and the means by which he can dwell in you, etc. You're going to see it's consistent with everything else we've already taught about the Spirit. So he's talking about the Father. Verse 28, so Yeshua said to them, when you lift up the Son of Adam, then you shall know that I am he, and that I do none at all of myself, but as my Father taught me, these words I speak. So he's saying I am completely submissive to my Father. That doesn't sound like he gets a vote. And by the way, remember when, and I didn't put this in the verses here that I was going to read today, but remember when he said, Abba, Father, if it's possible to have this cup taken from me, but nonetheless your will be done? He knew he had no vote. There was no vote. He's going to give us a lesson in vertical hierarchy. My sheep know my voice and they follow me. I know my Father's voice and I follow him. And I give them everlasting life, and they shall by no means ever perish, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand. My Father has given them to me. Listen now, my Father who has given them to me is greater than all. Does that leave anything out? My Father is greater than all. See, the echad there is not saying literally one. We don't want to get into this sort of oneness doctrine silliness. Okay, there are two. Yeshua makes it very clear. There's one that sent the other. Not possible if there's only one. Okay? And he says that we are in complete congruence in everything, my Father and I. The means by which all this gets done. It's the power of Elohim, as we read in the birth account, right? That she will be overshadowed by the power of Elohim, the means by which Elohim does these things in the three-dimensional world. You're about to read a section that if you just allow the Peshat, simple understanding, it will be literally that simple. Just let it read. Don't let it read through every pastor you've ever heard, every sermon you ever heard. Just let it read. John 14:15. What is this helper that I'm sending? He says, the Spirit of the truth. What did he just tell you in verse 6? He is the truth. By the way, we can go to Psalm 119 and see in verse 142 and 160 that the Torah is truth. So we're talking about the spirit of the Torah as well. And by the way, we can prove through that loop there, because in John chapter 1 and verse 14, it says the Torah, or the Word, put on flesh. So Yeshua is the walking, talking, living Torah. We have that here in that, I call that my little 3-verse loop or whatever. You go from John 14:6, Psalm 119, 142, or 160, whichever way you want to go. And then John 1:14. But he's saying, look, I'm not going to leave you orphans. I'm coming to you. Yet a little while, verse 19, the world no longer sees me, but you shall see me because I live and shall live. And that day you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. Not some other third entity. And I in you, the Father in me, and I in the Father, and I in you. He who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who loves me, and he who loves me shall be loved by my Father, and I shall love him and manifest myself to him. This is not so complicated. But it is if people have read it to you wrong and you didn't read it for yourself and just ignored reading it straight through, because Yah forbid you should have read 5 or 6 verses in a row. We shall come to him and make our stay with him. We who? The Father and the Son. We who? Not a third entity. And he who does not love me does not guard my words, and the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. He said, look, my words, look, it's all the Father's stuff. I'm just the spokesman. I am the Word. I'm the Logos. I'm the spokesman for the Father. And what is the Spirit supposed to do? Bring to remembrance what? All that I've said to you. It doesn't say that the Ruach is going to teach you all kinds of stuff you never knew. Oh, I don't need a teacher. I've got the Ruach. Really? Where's that verse? He shall esteem me, for he shall take what is mine and announce it to you. So it's a conduit between Yeshua and you. All it's going to do is communicate that which is Yeshua's to you. Does that sound like a third co-equal entity to you? When all it's going to be doing is being the conduit between. Look, if I get on my cell phone and I call you, there is connectivity through wireless signals that sends what I'm saying to you. So this is the power or means by which I can reach you. Think of it that way. This technology is human technology. We're talking about Elohim technology. So it's on a level that, again, the amoeba trying to understand the human being. This is a father power. This is a father-level power, but the Father is going to use that power to allow me to be in you, to allow me to communicate with you, to allow me to help you. What do you think it means when it says being changed from incorruptible, from corruptible to incorruptible, to be changed into that incorruptible? Well, now we're in 1 John, right? We don't know exactly what he's like, but we know that when we see him, we'll be like him. Okay, so when we're changed into that whole other thing, the amoeba now will be like a human being and understand what a human being is. Well, like the human being is changed into Elohim, we'll understand what Elohim is. Then we'll figure out this whole thing about the Ruach. Yeshua came to immerse you in the spirit of truth. In other words, to have your whole intrinsic nature change to that of truth. For you to walk, live, behave, think, and act in truth. To be fully immersed in the Ruach, the connector between you and the Father, between you and the Son.